One of our top stories this hour, a new complaint sent to the office of Montana Political Practices Commissioner Jeff Mangan yesterday alleges that Mayor John Engen's re-election campaign failed to report contributions from two corporations, one of which happens to be the owner of the local Missoulian newspaper, Lee Enterprises. The question at issue revolves around the boosting of a Facebook post. A screenshot in the complaint shows that the Missoulian, quote, sponsored, end quote, an article about the race and an accompanying Facebook post that reads, and I quote, looking back over John Engen's 3 terms as mayor, there are abundant examples of the many ways he has kept the city heading in the right direction, end quote. The complaint claims this is a contribution to Engen's campaign. And it's contrary to Montana Code Annotated, which says that, quote, a corporation may not make a contribution to a candidate directly or through an intermediary, end quote. The issue isn't a particular clear-cut one either, and the Political Practices Commissioner Jeff Mangan says he hopes to have an advisory opinion on the subject out by the end of this week. The other issue covered in the complaint deals with Engen's campaign headquarters and alleges that while the Engen campaign may be claiming rents of $300 per month, the actual fair market value of the property at 104 South 4th Street West, Suite 3, is actually more than 5 times that amount. The complaint was filed by Missoula attorney Quentin Rhodes. Political Practices Commissioner Mangan verified that he'd received the complaint and said he was in the process of notifying all the parties involved. One person is dead, 2 others injured after an early morning wrong-way crash yesterday on I-90 near the Bonner exit. Montana Highway Patrol Trooper Jacob Parks said the accident was reported just after 6 a.m. on I-90 at mile marker 111.
A white Dodge pickup was eastbound in the westbound passing lane when it struck another vehicle that was overtaking a semi front to front. During that collision, a third vehicle swerved off the right side of the roadway and struck a guardrail. The occupant of the sedan and the pickup were transported. The occupant of the vehicle that was overtaking the semi was pronounced dead on scene.
Park said there are several questions that still must be answered regarding the fatal crash, such as why was the truck traveling the wrong way on I-90, and was alcohol or speed a factor in the crash?
We don't. I haven't done any interviews yet. We're working on that part of the investigation. There was fog, and again, unknown if that was because of the vehicle on the interstate going the wrong direction. Further interviews will let us know that.
Park said the Missoula County coroner will provide information as to the gender and age of the victim when they release the identity. I-90 was closed for several hours yesterday. And NBC Montana reports that a crash on Highway 93 north of Arlee yesterday afternoon killed 1 person and injured another. Highway Patrol Sergeant Chan Berry said the 2 drivers were the only people in the vehicles. The crash occurred about 4:30 p.m. near mile marker 21, about 3 miles north of Arlee. The wreck closed all lanes of traffic. The highway reopened about 7:20 p.m. The cause of the crash still unknown. Berry said both drivers were wearing seatbelts. Spurred on by the chemical industry, President Trump's administration is retreating from a congressionally mandated review of some of the most dangerous chemicals in public use. The review began under Trump's predecessor to make sure proper safeguards are in place for asbestos and other toxins in homes, offices, and industrial plants across the country. But instead of looking at some of the most common exposures to those chemicals, the new administration wants to limit the review to chemicals and products still being manufactured or entering the marketplace. Critics say that would undermine the goal of protecting public health. The chemical industry pushed for that shift. The EPA says the administration's actions are in line with what Congress intended. Granite County Attorney Blaine Bradshaw says the Department of Criminal Investigations looking into a case involving a Granite County commissioner and a possible improper use of public property.
DCI will be handling the investigation and turning over their investigation findings to the Montana Attorney General's office to review that, involving a issue back in early September in which some county equipment was used at a commissioner's shared driveway. It was a milling mulcher.
Bradshaw said Commissioner Scott Adler made attempts to right the situation, though.
The commissioners made a public apology, and one of the commissioners whose shared driveway it is promised to pay that benefit back. And so here we are, going to have the matter investigated just to see if any charges should be filed.
Adler admitted on video it wasn't the first time he had used public property on his own projects. Bradshaw said other past incidents are also being investigated. Earlier this week, Missoula Judge Dana Christensen ruled that the U.S. Forest Service has the authority to exclude snowmobiles from areas recommended for wilderness. Paul Turk is the attorney for snowmobile groups that filed the lawsuit. He lists the next steps.
Obviously, this decision is relatively new, so we haven't made any decisions about whether to appeal, or I'm sure the other side hasn't decided whether they might appeal as well. I will note that we did prevail on certain claims in the case, and our motion was granted in part.
Turk says his clients appreciate wilderness values and they want them to remain in good condition, but they feel there should be other ways to address issues rather than complete closure. The Complete College Montana Summit was held yesterday at the University of Montana. Over 150 stakeholders were there from the Montana University System, public schools, and the Montana Tribal College representatives. Deputy Commissioner of Higher Education John Seck pointed out just one troubling statistic that keeps students from being successful, especially in math.
If a student is placed into remedial math, that is that they're just not ready for college-level math, their chances of completing the degree are actually pretty slim. In fact, when we looked at the data over the past several years, it's actually less than a 10% chance of ever completing the degree.
Seck said a new program has been instituted to help college freshmen be more successful in their required math classes.
Where the students who would have originally been placed into a remedial course are placed in directly into their first level college course, but given support on the side. For instance, a course that would normally meet on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays now meets Monday through Friday, and Tuesdays and Thursdays are those support days where the actual faculty member who's teaching the course is there.
Our News Talk time now, 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
Mostly cloudy skies this morning will give way to ample sunshine this afternoon. High temperatures will be in the upper 40s and low 50s. It will remain quite breezy with wind gusts as high as 20 miles per hour. I'm meteorologist Brooke Foster for Missoula's KECI 13.